All right, so this is an interesting exchange, and I want to explain what's happening here. The president of the United States is being informed that China is going to ban American movies, and this is his reaction to that.
China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
So why is everyone laughing? Because I don't think they would be laughing if this was to happen in the 90s or the early 2000s. They wouldn't be devastated either, but the reaction would be something like, well, we're really sad that it's happening. We hope they're changing their mind. It would be more diplomatically measured. But instead, what we get here is laughter. And I think I can explain why that is. A lot of political analysts and people in the media, they're trying to understand what's happening in the America through the prism of Trump. In other words, for them, Trump is like a dictator, and if you placate him or if you do what he wants, he will change his mind. They're not thinking in the term of that this is a republic and that the Maga movement have voted for Donald Trump. And it's not just Trump is the Republican Party. Like, there are other members in his cabinet, there are other people associated with him that realize the only way to stay in power is to please the electorate, to please the people. And so if you want to change policy, you don't do it by like trying to change Donald Trump's mind. You do it by trying to change the ideology of the MAGA movement. And despite the way that this is how things used to be done before the 90s, and despite the fact that in theory this is how politics should work, we notice that with the new neoliberal system that has existed for the last decades, in practice things aren't this way. In practice, the way things work is that the institutions manipulate public opinion. They're not trying to fix crises. They're not trying to understand the world. They're just trying to manipulate public opinion. And so you have the mainstream media, the academia, politicians, famous people like Hollywood actors, just coming out and setting what is okay to think. They're coming up and they're setting policies. So, for instance, if you have a pharmaceutical company like Pfizer, they're going directly to the politicians. Like, they're not even trying to convince the people. They're going directly to the politician using bureaucrats like Fauci and many others, and they're the ones that set the policy. And then someone comes out and they say, well, okay, we need to shut down every single business. We need to shut down the economy in order to save one life. And you get to see on the left, like, people legitimately believe that and legitimately start acting as if it's their own idea. And then the next day, you have the BLM protests, right? So you have activists and NGOs, like, bypassing the public, going directly to the politicians. And the politicians go like, yeah, we're still keeping businesses shut, but now you gotta go out, you gotta protest. And that's how pretty much things work on the left. It's just like bypassing the people, bypassing conversation or even any type of debate or nuance or negotiation. It's like, well, we decided, and this is how it's going to be. When you look on the right, things are different. Things are decentralized. And the reason for it is that the right is a response to the way that the left governed. Like, after shutting down the economy, after pushing for environmentalism, after managing public opinion, the right is the failure of the way that the left have managed the public opinion. And so they're not really interested in Trump as the person. Despite what they think, he's not like a Jesus figure or anything like that. Like, he's not an individual that the right wants to emulate. They don't think like, oh, a Trife lifestyle is the exact same lifestyle that I want for my son to have. You know, I want my son to go around with porn stars, and I want my son to grab women by the pussy. Like this is not the thing. The thing is that the people that feel disenfranchised by the previous neoliberal order are usually middle-class individuals that have noticed that their life is going worse and worse and worse, and they actually have a standard of comparison, that with their parents. And they're wondering, like, hold on a little bit. Like, my parent owned a house. My parent had a stable job. My parent lived in a city where everything was safe and he didn't have to worry about crime rates and stuff. What happened? And the only answer, well, politicians happened, right? And so, like, if the politicians have all these experts and all these academics and all these smart people around them, but the result is that the world is actually worse off, then they're trying to rebel against the system. And so, like, Donald Trump is their rage and disgust towards the system made manifest. And when you look at Donald Trump, again, you don't look at him as an individual. He has an entire administration which realized that they can stay in power as long as they give the MAGA people what they want. And so, unlike the left, where they need to please the institutions, right? Like if they please Pfizer, if they please the mainstream media, if they please the NGOs, they manage to remain in power. The right can't operate like that yet. The right has to operate by pleasing its people. And so if China makes a decision, for instance, to ban Hollywood films, you have to wonder, like, do MAGA people really give a shit about it? And if the answer is no, then that's why Trump is laughing. Because he knows that the people he has to please don't give a single fuck about Hollywood movies. And so you gotta wonder, like, why do they not care about Hollywood movies? Like, they used to be America's cultural landmark. And the right is patriotic. It's make America great again, right? Well, if you watch any Hollywood movies that came up in the past decade, like, all they're doing is a humiliation ritual to America. Most American films, like, treat America as evil, systemically racist, systemically sexist, an imperialist nation. They're constantly mocking and humiliating Christianity. They're mocking and humiliating right-wingers. And so the right, like the MAGA movement, doesn't view this as a plus for America. They don't view it as American cultural excellence. They view it as the opposite. And so when China says, yeah, we're going to not allow as many Hollywood films, they're ecstatic because they're thinking, okay, well, maybe finally Hollywood is going to go bankrupt. And if Hollywood gets to go bankrupt, like, why are they happy with it? Well, first of all, they're not putting out garbage anymore, right? Like, they would prefer nothing at all than the garbage that exists. But secondly, it's because, well, maybe it makes room for some independent filmmakers, for some upstarting people to start creating movies again, because we know that our society is capable of creating great works of art. But what they're doing right now isn't that, and maybe it's time for a reset. And this is the irony of the thing, right? Because the left actually wanted a global reset. Like, they kept saying, well, capitalism is unsustainable, the way things are going is not great. And what the right is actually doing now is this global reset, which the left wanted, but apparently they don't want it like that. And so hopefully I managed to get people to understand a little bit more about the current situation and what's happening. I'm curious to see what you think, and let me know in the comment section. Also, there's a pinned comment that will take you to my channel where I live stream. You can subscribe there. And if you like my channel a lot more than you should, there's even a way you can support it through donations. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Take care.
Cultural exports from the United States.
I think I've heard of worse things.